course. Would you feel comfortable sharing information on your handout at any point during the interview?
Yeah.
Okay. So what caught your attention when doing this exercise?
Probably the 3 lines.
Okay. And why the 3 lines?
Just because how you get here and what you've learned along the way, probably just like a journey. That's a lot of what's been happening. So.
Okay. Absolutely. That was when I did it. That was pretty significant to me too. The journey part, like 3. Can I limit this to 3? But it really did. 3 did stand out in my mind. Okay. So, what feelings did you get when you thought about the COVID-19 pandemic?
The COVID-19 pandemic was probably the worst time of my life. So that's what I wrote about. So it's a lot of just rock bottom and destruction on a long road ahead.
Mm-hmm. How can you remind me, how old were you when the pandemic happened?
I was starting middle school, so I was 12.
Wow. Oh, that already sucks. Okay. Can you tell me one thing that you learned from the pandemic?
I learned that from my experience that during the pandemic, recovery is not a one-step process. It's a long road with a lot of setbacks.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about what's surrounding your hands. So what does your support system look like? What kept you going?
A lot of music, actually.
Okay.
And then family, friends, and 2 teachers really did stand out to me. And then like my spirituality, and then fight in my community.
Okay. So I think it's interesting how you said 2 teachers stood out to you. But was this during when you had to do like virtual learning?
Yeah.
Okay. And they were able to be a support system even in the virtual space.
Yes.
Oh wow. What did they teach?
One of them taught English, and one of them was another English teacher.
And so since you've been in school, what made their support stand out versus for them being virtual versus being in person, if that makes sense?
One of them was in person, and I came in halfway through the year for her, and then one of them was full-time in person, but we were still in mass. Some people had to go virtual.
Mm-hmm.
But they stood out because they were understanding, and they weren't teaching for them. They were teaching for the kids. And that really stood out to me because I hadn't seen that before in teachers. It seemed like they just really cared, and they would talk to me. I just had a connection with them.
That's awesome, especially going into like a new age, like middle school. So that's really cool. Can you give me an example of like maybe like an instance or something that they did that's when you knew like, oh, I could like trust in this person, or you felt any type of connection with your teacher?
When I had 2 poetry projects, each in the different classes, and that's when I felt the most connected to them, because when poetry is really sentimental and personal to me, and I shared like a collection with them. And my first teacher, Miss Ryan, that was the first poem I'd ever actually tried to write, and she just brought me into my love of poetry and started that journey for me.
I love that. So you're a writer.
I am writing a book of poetry.
Are you serious?
Yes.
So did that start while during the pandemic?
Yes, so it was the middle of the pandemic.
Oh wow. So what can I ask you a little bit about your work? You can feel free to share any of it if you would like.
I brought the one that I was.
Go ahead. Yeah. Oh, do you want to read it?
I don't know. It's very long, so.
Okay. I don't mind. It's your interview too, so I kind of, even if you want to read this one part, if you're comfortable with it, if you want to read one part, you can. Or if you want to wait till the end, then that's fine. Okay, great. So just talking to your mom, so she seemed that she was, very much so like concerned, making sure that you had your, that you had your voice, your own time to be able to tell your story. How has having your family support you in a time you said that was so dark, how significant is that to you?
They saved my life.
Okay.
It was probably the most significant time I've felt with them. that brought us closer than I thought we would ever could be. They are my absolute everything.
Wow. I resonate with that deeply. Same here. My family is everything to me as well. So, but I try to connect too, but I don't want to make it too much about me.
No.
But I do believe in, if I'm going to ask someone to be vulnerable, then I want to be vulnerable too. And me being in a dark space, I would say even in a pre-pandemic climate, it was hard for me to find tools even at that time. And, we had more access, like in person. How would you say that you sustained that time? And what was the difference between maybe yourself and maybe some peers that might not have been as fortunate, if that makes sense?
I know that one of my friends, she's my best friend. We went through a lot of that whole time together from 6th grade to sophomore year. We are still really good friends. We are going through like the same kind of things. Mm-hmm. And I think she was my support system and my family. I think for that, people who might have had differently, I don't think it would have turned out the same way. It really would have gone very different directions.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So I want to back up a little bit to this one question I've heard as do you feel comfortable describing what is home for you like?
Home for me is technically when I'm by myself. Okay. I am very much an introvert, I like being by myself a lot. Home to me is when I am feeling good and writing. Okay. If I'm writing, listening to music, or creating or singing, that's when I'm at home. Like doing something creative, expressing it.
I love it. And you talk about music. I'm a music lover myself. Yes. Do you have a favorite artist that kind of pulled you through?
It's weird, but it's My Chemical Romance. I love any like pop punk music.
Oh, okay, cool. It's been a while since I listened to my Chemical Romance too. For me, my group is Paramore.
I love Paramore.
Is she not the best? Sometimes I have a hate-love relationship with Ain't It Fun? Yes, then I realize, I'm a grown person. I want to cry to my mom. So, okay. But, so that's cool. I know you said you did poetry, but did you explore, like, with making music or anything? Or?
I haven't written music before. Okay. But I sing a lot, and I sing songs that resonate with me. Right now I'm singing Flowers from Hadestown. Okay. With my vocal person. I don't know what to call them.
Okay. Like a vocal coach?
Vocal coach, yes. Okay. And we've done a lot of songs. My favorite one that we did was Waving Through the Window by Dear Evan Hansen.
Oh, wow. See, I wish I had my pen. No, I do have a pen. I gotta write it. I'm gonna get these songs for you when we're done. And so, one thing I did forget to do is to have you state your full name for me. So, if you could state your full name.
Ash Ritter.
Okay, and your age.
15. Awesome.
And what are your preferred pronouns?
They, them.
Okay, great. And I should ask that beforehand, so excuse me. So let's. I want to take a road back. So you were 12 when the pandemic were in the midst of it. At what point did it hit you? It was like, oh my goodness, this is real. Like, did you see something like maybe how your parents prepared for the time and school shut down? When did it feel like a reality to you?
I remember this very vividly. I was in 6th grade social studies class, and this one girl came in what I thought was a gas mask. It was huge with huge things on the side. I was terrified. I was really confused because I hadn't heard any much about it because my parents didn't want me to watch the news. Mm-hmm. So I was really confused. I'm like, why are you wearing that? And she's like, we're all going to die. And I'm like, okay.
Wow.
And she's like, I'm just really scared because my parents told me I need to wear this. Mm-hmm. We're 11 and 12. So I was really scared. And my teacher came in and was like, school might be shut down. He put on the news for us. And he's like, it's probably not going to come anytime soon. We're going to be fine. Mm-hmm. Next week, the school shut down.
The next week. So what's crazy, I'm hearing you retell this story. And when I was your age, that's when the September 11th happened. And I remember being in school and that sticking with me and like that sink feeling, like the teachers turn the TV on because they don't know what's going on either.
Yeah.
But being in class, like, I remember my stomach just sinking to the bottom at all. But what really helped me is, like, I was with my peers and all of us were kind of like lost together. But I can imagine that being pretty scary when you're just simply afraid of touching someone or breathing the same air. So how did you feel that pressure at all? Like, like you're disconnected with friends, with your peers. Was it scary to try to get back together?
It was really scary. I did competitive dance, and I have an autoimmune disorder. So my dance director, he didn't let me come back into the studio until back then. My knees, I have a condition with my joints, and it was really painful to dance, and I had to leave dance in its entirety. So that was a really hard time, and that was during COVID because I had to leave the studio anyway, and I was like, "You're just not going to go back."
Wow. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry to hear that.
It's okay. I've gotten pretty much over it.
Hey, well, I'm glad. So, I did have a question too. It's like I get inspired when you speak of. So we talked about what inspires you. So we talked about like music and different things too. Let's say someone is still going through that dark time, and trying to recover after the pandemic and it's your age. What would be your advice to them? How would you encourage them?
Don't express it as a conversation. Don't try to make it all make sense. It's what helped me. Write it in any metaphor or any way you can just make it real to you and get that off your chest.
Awesome. And that actually reminds me of a question. So what motivated you to come and share your story with me today?
To show kids who have been struggling with depression, anxiety, self-deprecating thoughts and actions, that there are people like you and your age, and you are not alone, even though you may think you are.
Awesome. What was the moment that you realized that you weren't alone?
When I was probably at the lowest point, I was at my grandparents. We were in a camper, and I was going just through a super hard time. My grandparents, they didn't really know that well, and my mom got on the phone, and I told her about it. She came straight. She was on the other side of the country. She came straight down.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
They flew back the next day.
Something like a mother's love, I tell you.
Yes.
It's all. I did have a question. So and we don't have to go too extensive into this if you don't like. So remember, at any point, tell me if you're comfortable or not comfortable. So you talked a bit about finding spirituality. Can you elaborate more on that?
It was more like finding my own path in a way. Because it's really hard because there's not many people who have the same beliefs that I do. Yeah. And there's a lot of people who demonize the beliefs that I have. Yeah. And I find that really hard because sometimes it's in my family, and I find it so hard to tell them things or relate to anything that they're saying. But I found that, and that was one of the things that finally made me feel like I was doing something I was meant to be doing.
It was like a gift for yourself.
Yes.
I completely understand that. And that's a beautiful thing to find at 15, because I'm finding I'm just not really entering my 30s, and to be able to have agency and autonomy to say, like, this is what I believe in. This is what makes me happy and gives me the most fulfillment is so important at any stage in life to be able to identify and say that with confidence. So kudos to you. I'm really impressed.
I'm still struggling with trying to deconstruct what I was learned, like ingrained in as a kid.
Yep.
So I'm trying to let that go, but it's really hard for me.
Yeah. And I know, because I don't want you to, feel pressure and things, because for me, spirituality was a big thing that came out of the pandemic. Prior to that, I just lost my father, and so it made me really come into question about what my belief system was. So I don't even know how to put this into a question without it sounding kind of leading, but I guess what was the moment when you realized, like, and it could be anything, it doesn't have to be about spirituality, like what I'm practicing, what I'm doing for myself is not fulfilling me. And if I keep down this path, it's not going to improve my well-being. What was that moment like? If my question makes sense.
Yeah. It's weird because I don't want to make people feel upset or anything with this, but I was in a really dark time. I think it was like 2 a.m. and I was crying my heart out, begging for like a Christian God to save me, and everything after that just got worse and worse and worse. I don't want to offend anyone by saying anything, because I've never said that before.
Okay.
But I was crying out for somebody to save me.
Okay. I understand that too. And if you like, I will definitely remove that part from the interview. But I think it's really cool to have that kind of reckoning. Like, this was that moment too. It's easy to identify. When you talk about the journeys that you've had. Can you talk about one journey that's on your map? Would you mind going into that a little bit if you haven't already?
Yeah, it's attempted to draw a feathering quill.
Okay.
Like a feather quill on a pot of ink. It's when I started writing. I learned in 7th grade, I wrote my first poem ever. It's called When Will We Realize? It was about the world and how, like, messed up it was that we were all separate. I was 12 or 13. And I was just at that age where I started to realize not everything is sunshine and rainbows in the world. And I was just like, when will we realize that people can just be people together?
Absolutely. No, I completely understand that too. And working in where I work too, a lot of people don't realize it too, because they think just about books and whatnot. But you learn quick about like the world, and get in touch with what people need. I think it exposes you. I think is what I really want to say too. So, do you have an idea of what your future might look like?
Yes, I want to be a published author by 16. And I want to go to a smaller college because I want to go into a field of research in abnormal psychology.
Oh, that's awesome.
I want to help kids like me.
So when you say, what's the appeal about a smaller college?
So I can get more recommendations for research facilities and get close to my professors. And I get really social anxiety and a lot of social anxiety.
I understand that too. I was like, I never thought about that too. When you hear people in their college aspirations, you never hear like smaller college, but those are perfect and sound reasons. Yes. So that's awesome. Did you participate in like extracurricular activities outside of school? I know you talk about dance.
Not really outside of school, but in school, after school, I joined this theater program, which is one of the best decisions of my life. Okay. The people there, I had never seen kindness like that.
Oh, wow.
They were just amazing people, and they were really nice in that.
Were you able to pick that back up in the post-pandemic climate?
Yes.
Okay. I hate seeing post-pandemic too, because it really is, we're still like very much still living in it. I think I should say probably post-shutdown is what I would do.
Because I can say my bonus mom, but she just got COVID again.
Oh no.
She's fine now. She's out of quarantine.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yes.
And I know we talked about encouragement. So I've been asking questions. Is there anything you want to ask me or anything that you want to share that I haven't maybe covered?
I don't know.
Okay. Take your time. I think I've gotten a lot of questions too. I don't want to just ramble on. Did you want to go ahead and share some of your poems?
Sure. It's long and
Okay.
It's all really connected.
Okay.
But no preface. I had a lot of self-discovery during the pandemic. I changed my name during the pandemic. I found out I was gender fluid and gay and part of the LGBTQ plus community.
Okay.
And I was very surprised and happy about the support system I got there and from my parents. So, very small part in here.
Okay.
Don't know. There's.
Do you feel? Are you okay to share?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Then we won't go into it right now.
Okay.
The next I know you gave me a little bit more information on your. I can never say this word. On your preface. Is it preface?
Preface.
I can never say the word. Is it okay to ask you questions about that?
Yeah.
So you identified yourself as a part of the LGBTQ plus community. How does that feel?
Feels incredible. I really found such community in there. Found like a reason of being, and I found I was true to myself for the first time in my life, and that just felt amazing. When people stopped calling me by my names before, it was totally life-changing.
That's awesome. And that you found that support, because I can imagine the most significant and impactful support is from your family. What were some of the things they did to reassure you that, like, we, love you and we respect you? And like, what was something that they did to, or even just some advice that you can give to other parents to say, like, this could help, your child, in coming out?
My Nana, sweetest person. I was most worried about her. I was most worried about my grandparents. She had a little wood block with each of her grandkids' names on it. She threw mine out and painted an entire new one to have my name on it. And on her memories tree, she put an A to just remember, to make when she got older, she just remember.
Okay, that is so awesome. And a memory tree too. That's awesome. I'm also in the archiving and memory work, so I think that's something so significant to have it so solidified in the family and to go and change it. So like you see, like, this is me. I don't even have a question. It's more so like I honestly just admire you. And I know it's kind of weird when you're an introvert and getting so much flattery, but this project is very meaningful to me because I don't want it to be a third party kind of testimony, if you will. Like I feel like it's so important to have you, everyone that's like you, who you are in this moment and where you come from, to have their stories being told the way that they want it to be told.
Yes.
So with that being said, what is something that you would like for anyone that might be watching to know about who you are right now, especially coming out of such a hard time as you described it in your life?
I would just like to say that for people that are really struggling, that there is someone who is truly proud of you for just waking up. And if you don't have energy, I heard this from my therapist. He said, if you don't have energy and you're worried about that and you have no motivation to do anything, if you're in that dark place, all your energy is keeping you alive, and that's enough.
Wow. It's really touching too, because since I've been going through mindset with mental health for a while, and I'll try, because even my stuff gets on camera, I always forget that because I'm enjoying the conversation. But I think one of the things that my therapist told me is like, your best doesn't have to be your best every day. So if you didn't feel like getting out of bed, but you got out of bed, then that's your accomplishment. That's your best that day. Or you just feel like being alive and you did, like that's your best today. So I think that's awesome too. And we did good on time. And so was there anything else that you wanted to share, or for me, or any other questions?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Ash, for like, just sitting down and interviewing me. I really treasure this. I think this is probably my favorite interview.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much. I've been waiting like